In this fourth video in our ongoing series covering gardening in apartments and small spaces, we're going to give a very high-level overview of some of the popular methods to help you understand your options. We're going to cover each of these in more detail in future videos, showing the exact steps you're going to need to follow, but this video will serve as a great starting point to give you some ideas. For now, we want you to survey the ranges of options available. Even then, we won't be able to cover all of them, but rather we're going to take a look at some of the most popular and easiest approaches to implement when starting out. Consider this a first look for further contemplation as you really begin to start your garden. So let's explore the possibilities. Download our small space high yield gardening guide by clicking on the link in the description and comments section below. Enjoy the video. Growing methods. Vertical gardening. A vertical garden is a vertically suspended system that takes advantage of back walls, western walls, and to some extent cross beams. They range from soil systems like repurposed hanging shoe racks and bottle systems filled with soil and dripping into each other to hydroponic PVC systems, grow towers, stack pots, and hanging planters. The primary considerations are weight and shading. You want your vertical system to allow light for other plants. You want to squeeze the last light rays and maximize your growing space. This is why you put these on your western wall or back wall, so they don't block light for other plants. Living green walls can thrive for harvest after harvest and keep you in an abundance of food throughout your growing season. Hanging gardens or pots may also shade the plants below for a period of daytime. Many plants don't need or want full sun, so placing hanging pots above can protect plants below when done strategically. Balcony and deck railings are also a great use of space, but these can also block light to growing areas. Placing them on the western side will result in them receiving the early sunlight that plants need but subdued light probably after noon. When you think about your outdoor garden, think about it both horizontally and vertically. Here's a question to ask yourself though. Can you bring that vertical garden indoors? One of your walls might be perfect for a growing wall. Looking at a wall of living green can have a calming effect on a person, all the while providing you with a more pest-free gardening experience and easy to access your food regardless of the season. Many people use indoor grow towers and hydroponic systems for this very reason. Hydroponics. Hydroponics is a technique of growing plants using a water-based nutrient solution rather than soil and can include an aggregate substrate or growing media, such as vermiculite, coconut coir, or perlite. These systems range from grow towers to grow walls, from small farmers to hobbyists to large commercial enterprises. This is one of the few options for some northern regions because of such a short growing season. The problems with this method are providing nutrients, providing algae or gnats, the system's weight, the electricity needed to circulate the water, and the need to provide supplement light. These systems can range from windowsill setups to towers to whole walls and can be deployed outdoors and indoors. Purchasing a ready-made system can be phenomenally expensive. With a bit of craftiness, you can build your own, which we'll do in a later video. Building your own is a route most people take because the cost is still so high. Fortunately, the materials are much cheaper today than in the years past. The prices of PVC may have gone up, but the price of grow lights and growing media like vermiculite, coconut coir, or expanded clay have all gone down. Thanks to the home growers of cannabis and tomatoes, you'll find many more hydroponic stores in your area and probably a few deals on used equipment on your local exchange. One grow tower of lettuce and kale planted over several weeks will provide you with more greens than a person can possibly eat by themselves. Keep that in mind as you plan your setup. Maybe it's an opportunity to trade or partner with others. When you think of hydroponic, vertical growing in your space, consider the range of options available to you to maximize your space and yield. Aquaponics. For the slightly more daring, there is aquaponics. This couples aquaculture with hydroponics. You produce fish for protein, which in turn makes nutrients for the plants. Automatic recirculating systems do not require much monitoring or measuring, as they, when functioning properly, create a symbiotic relationship between the plants and fish. The fish benefit from the filtered and oxygenated water. The plants benefit from the waste materials of the fish. Modern versions of these setups can be deployed outdoors, even in small patio spaces. Many viewers send us pictures of their systems in their garages or backyards. Some elaborate and some simple additions circulated off their fish tanks with some basic pumps. It's not a new science. Hydroculture was used quite extensively by the Aztecs. The Chinese used loach, swamp eels, carp, and pond snails in their rice paddies. Aquaponics was developed everywhere. Plants were cultivated alongside bodies of water teeming with life. It's more like we humans learned what Mother Nature was naturally doing and tried to capture and contain some little piece of the process. Typically, the plants grow right on top of the water. Your chief concerns with this method are the creatures, the water, and the weight of the water. Tilapia breed fast. Just one female will typically produce between 200 to 1,000 eggs per spawn, and she'll spawn every 4 to 5 weeks. That's a lot of population control you have to think about. Something like koi or other carp won't breed as fast, but they also aren't your first choice for consumption either. Minnows, guppies, or goldfish might breed and produce quickly if the conditions are right, but if you plan on eating fish for protein, you probably would have to get pretty creative. Feeding those fish and keeping them healthy can also be a challenge. The amount of water is a challenge as well. Some apartments allow tanks up to 25 gallons while others limit to 2 gallons. Some have no restrictions at all. Leaks can do damage, and a gallon of water is 8 1/3 pounds. So while the method is fantastic and in many ways self-sustaining, it comes with more than a few considerations. Aeroponics. Aeroponics is a plant cultivation technique in which the roots hang suspended in the air while a nutrient solution is delivered to them in the form of a fine mist. It grows plants in the air or mist environment without soil or an aggregate medium. These have become very popular for windowsill and small kitchen counter setups, but the method is also used in large-scale operations and even by NASA in space. The basic principle of aeroponic growing is to grow plants suspended in a closed or semi-closed environment by spraying the plant's dangling roots and lower stem with an atomized or sprayed nutrient-rich water solution of 5 to 50 micrometers micro droplets. Some of the drawbacks of this method are the constant mist needed and electrical requirements for producing that mist. Roots are very sensitive parts of the plants and do not like air exposure. Also, the humid, misty environment can result in an infestation of bugs if the system isn't carefully closed off from outside exposure. Sealing it off too completely can require the grower to also have to manage oxygen and CO2 levels in the system. There's also a need for supplemental grow lights. Because of these concerns, the aeroponic method is often combined with aspects of hydroponics and other grow materials. There are low and high pressure versions of this method that range from small to massive commercial versions. If you have a little bit of a scientist and a little bit of an engineer in you, this can be very rewarding. I've seen everything from lettuce to potatoes grown in this manner. There's much more to learn with this method. Container gardening. Most of us will take a hard pass on the complicated science-heavy methods of the techniques I mentioned earlier in favor of good old-fashioned soil and containers. This will range from potted plants to stacked garden towers. The growing medium is soil or potting soil. If you plan to garden this way, realize that your soil can quickly be depleted of nutrients. You'll need to supplement the nutrients with either fertilizer or compost materials. You are also susceptible to fungus and infestations. However, having an abundance of direct sunlight reduces the possibility of these. You have to realize that these containers will have weight. You want containers that are within the bounds of your area's maximum load. Containers also need to drain somewhere. Will they run off into a plant saucer or a trough? As we demonstrated in our sweet potato video, a self-wicking system will allow you to control water levels while also getting viral nutrients directly to the root system. With any container system, you're taking a piece of the earth and containing it to serve your needs. That brings in with it some challenges, but it also brings plenty of rewards. Controlling and coaxing the environment you create to get maximum results can be rewarding and can provide you with an abundance of living food. Watch the video in this series on soil before going this route. I know a video on soil doesn't sound very exciting, but I promise you that we put in a tremendous amount of knowledge and insight into this topic to make it as concise as possible to give you what you need to be successful. Definitely check that out. Grow tents. If you want total control over the environment, you can use an indoor grow tent or repurpose a room or closet. The challenges with this method are weight, light, temperature regulation, and air circulation. Plants need air, just like we do, so they don't suffocate. There's also a lot to control and regulate in this type of setup. The advantage is that you're not confined to the whims of weather or the shortened sunlight of some seasons. You can grow year-round with UVA, B, and C bulbs over your plants. What you grow is only known to you, so there's less of a chance nosy neighbors or homeowners association will complain. Naturally, your electrical requirements will go up, and you must move a lot of equipment and materials in and out of your house and grow area. While these are great solutions for smaller but continual yields, they require more attention to detail and a dedicated and unmovable space. Also, without adequate ventilation to the outside, your home can take on a very earthy smell depending upon your growing materials and plant choices. Still, this method has been successful for small space cultivation in apartments and dorm rooms worldwide. Bag and straw bale. If you're dealing with an outdoor space, it's not uncommon for people to plant directly into a straw bale with dirt added into the top center or slits in a bag of commercial soil or potting soil. You must have drainage for both methods to keep your grow medium from turning into a big rotting mess. With the straw bale method, you are counting on some decomposition of the straw to provide nutrients to the plant. These can be breeding grounds for bugs as well. And that's the reason I only suggest this method for outside small grow areas. I do have a straw bale, so I will probably do a future video demonstrating this technique. For now, just realize that it is an option many people use. The potato tower we demonstrated in an earlier video is a variation that combines both these methods in a wire frame. Attention to drainage is a concern, and the weight of the materials is a concern as well. It has to be placed for the optimal sun. With any container or vertical system, the ability to move or rotate it on its wheels is always beneficial. As you consider these different methods in your grow space, I would encourage you to consider the light, the weight, the water, the space, the container, and let that guide your decisions on what you should grow. When you know what you want to grow, consider the size of a successful mature plant. For example, if you were to plant a sweet potato in a small pot, you're going to get a great vine, but any sweet potato that you actually harvest, it's not going to be even big enough to make a side dish for a meal. If you plant corn, a typical corn plant can be anywhere from 5 to 12 feet tall, and it wants its roots to go an average of 6 feet deep. Do you have enough height for that, or will it block out all the other plants? Is there enough width to accommodate that root that wants to run so deep? Can the plants you're growing be planted tightly together, or do they need significant spacing from each other? You can tweak some of the requirements by giving plants their own containers. Also, consider the light and water requirements of your plants. With any of these various growing methods, different plants may require supplementation of light, the nutrients, or more or less water than other plants. Likely, you will want to combine several methods for your area to maximize your growing capabilities. There are other methods of growing that I didn't cover here because of time, but I wanted to give you really a quick overview of the 7 most popular and common methods. We will explore some of them in far greater hands-on detail in future videos as we establish my 3 growing areas that we talked about in the introduction video. Others, I'll let you explore further. If you have a method we didn't cover here that you think is a great opportunity for someone that's starting out that's simple, please share it in the comments below. As always, please stay safe out there.